Hey, leave the light where was up.
Nah, you good.
I didn't say I'm good.
Nah.
That's why I'm
For what? Nah, man, watch out,
They
man.
want people on camera, man.
Go ahead. It's alright.
Turn the music off.
Yeah, you not gonna put yourself on there now?
No, it's just in the middle, though.
Now go to bed. Turn that light off and go to bed.
We're gonna pick it up on the top of page 173. That's where we left off last week. And Lord willing, we'll be able to finish this chapter and hopefully have an understanding on the point that he was trying to make and how is it relevant.
Hold on, is this still chapter 1?
It's still chapter 1.
Oh.
And try to determine how relevant it is to us moving forward.
And for the shooting.
Now, you remember where we stopped? You don't be...
I just took my thing out of this. I think I done lost my thing. Christianity, I know we talked about this, and that's cool.
Was he even here last time?
Yeah, it was good. I think it's somewhere on this page. Yeah, I think it's somewhere.
Where we starting at say, but they are founded either on the immaturity of man as an individual.
Yeah, here we go.
You found it.
Yeah.
All right, pick it up at the top, man. We're gonna try to go on through it. He say, but they are founded either on the immaturity of man as an individual. Now, the day he talking about, from my understanding, is some ancient social organisms of production. In other words, how some ancient societies' production process was organized. He said they are founded either on the immaturity of man as an individual, when he has not yet torn himself loose from the umbilical cord of his natural species connection with other men, or on direct relations of dominance and servitude. So the first one here explaining that the production organizations of production are founded on man's lack of development. From my understanding, he said his lack of maturity. You understand? More primitive societies. Production processes is based on their limited knowledge. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
And then he said, or on direct relations of dominance and servitude, as we seen in the feudal system. It was direct relations as opposed to indirect relations in the production of commodities that we see today. Because remember, he been explaining the whole time how the object is just the manifestation of the social characteristics of labor, which is an indirect relation.
Mm-hmm.
But he said some of the ancient societies was either built on one of these two, direct relations of dominance and servitude. He said they are conditioned by a low stage of development of the productive powers of labor, and correspondingly limited relations between men within the process of creating and reproducing their material life. So that just expounds on the point I was making earlier, how the production processes are based on a low stage of development. And what corresponds to their low stage of development is they limit to relations between men within the process of creating and reproducing material life, or the things they need to sustain or to live. He said, hence also limit to relations between man and nature. He said these real limitations are reflected in the ancient worship of nature and in other elements of tribal religions. So from my understanding, the point he's making here is that because of men's limited relation with nature, or their limited knowledge of nature, right? He said these limits reflect the ancient worship of nature. Meaning we pray to the sun god or whatever god to bring rain,
Right.
pray to the harvest god, just they worship of the elements of nature because they unfamiliar how to use them to bring forth the things they need to sustain their material life
Mm-hmm.
because of their low stages of development. And he says, because of these limitations, you see it reflected in their worship of nature and other elements of tribal religions. He said the religious reflections of the real world can, in any case, vanish only when the practical relations of everyday life between man and man in nature generally present themselves to him in a transparent and rational form. Y'all understand what he's saying?
Mm-hmm.
What he's saying?
He's saying basically the religious reflection of the real world can in any case vanish only when the practical relations are basically understood and seen between the elements and man.
Right.
So he's saying, yeah, the religious reflections of the real world. So basically, your religious thoughts and your worships of these things are only going to cease when the daily interaction between these things becomes understood or transparent.
And from my understanding, when he's saying the religious reflections of the real world, meaning he's not religious is just not exclusive to a Christianity or something like that. Or, I mean, religious can mean a couple things, but it can mean a belief in a divine or superhuman powers, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when he's talking about how men have a fetishism when it comes to the production of commodities, meaning they don't understand how they got the value that they got.
Right.
You understand? But he says, so therefore, the real world has a religious outlook to it. In other words, a belief in that it's just something supernatural behind this process that's giving it this value that it's got. He said, but once you begin to, like he said, reflect on it, and the nature between man and the relation between man and man and the relation between man and nature, when it's apparent, now you can see it and understand it practically. Therefore, it ain't no belief in no unknown.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? Or belief in an unseen. That whole aspect of it vanishes when you understand the processes that work behind it to manifest what you see in the material life or the material real world. The next sentence he say, the veil is not removed from the countenance of the social life process. So the cover is not removed from the countenance of the social life process. Go ahead.
So it was treated as production by freely associated man and is consciously regularly having to finish with the subtle thing. Okay, can you read what you just read now?
He said the veil is not removed from the countenance of the social life process. Oh, you want the sentence before that?
Yeah, right there. You reading right there.
So stop or keep going?
Keep going.
He said, i.e., the process of material production until it becomes production by freely associated men and stands under their conscience and plan control.
Right. Okay.
Now, from my understanding, this word countenance can be, the face of that shows the nature or the feelings of something. But he say the veil is not removed from the face of the social life process. You know what I'm saying? Right now, all we see is the veil of it, the face of it. We don't see behind it, right? The inner workings behind it.
Mm-hmm.
And he say this veil is not removed from the countenance of the social life process. He said, i.e., that is, the process of material production the production that brings us the materials that we need to live by and that we do live by, there ain't necessarily got to be no need. He said, until it becomes production by freely associated men and stands under their conscience and planned control. In other words, it's not a system of oppressed and oppressor. It's freely associated men working together. You understand? All conscious of the process that will bring them the material sustenance, working together. There is no longer a veil or a cover of the process that brings us our material living. You understand? If all the men who was free, associated, working together to bring forth the goods, the sustenance that we need to live by, that would be transparent, right? There would be nothing mysterious or magical about that process. But because we not an association of free men, in control and conscious of the planet, then all we see is the manifestation of the small group of men who working together, bringing us the things we need, which is the capitalists. And most people don't even know how the system of value, how they come up with the prices, not necessarily, you understand, and how they just have control over society and the policies of society, and they are conscious of the direction that they want the society to go in. But the common man is unconscious of that.
How do they come up with the prices?
Of the commodities? Well, according to this, we know that the value or the price should be.
I mean, we understand value determines the price, or the labor, the embodied labor in the whole process.
Right.
So is that how they?
No. From my understanding is, they determine their price based off, if it's a new commodity, right? If it's a new object, then they could base the price off of the cost that it costs them to make it, what type of profit they want to see, how big of a need is it for the people. You understand? Once you already entering a sphere of commodities that's already in process in society, you kind of just base your price off already the going price. Now, if you can price yours up under that because you are making yours faster and it's costing you less time to produce yours, then you can make your price a little less than the going rate. But if you're introducing a commodity for the first time into the market, I believe it's a group of individuals who are promoting that, who, according to their understanding, come up with a price they feel is appropriate for the new device that would, one, show a certain amount of profit, and that would, two, be able to keep the process reproducing. I mean, you want to have profit, but you want to have capital to keep it going in motion. You understand what I'm saying? You want to have enough money to continue the process.
Exactly.
So when they put that price out there on a new commodity, when there are no competitors, you got room to move the price either way you want. You understand? Especially if you done created a need for the people. Because if they got a need for it, then they got to buy it, and they got to buy it at the price you set. Because you got private ownership of it. And you ain't got no competitor to make you bring your price down. So I believe that the price is set by, if it's a first time commodity, such as like when cell phones are introduced. The company that introduced them, they set their price based on what they feel was economical to them. Now once it got more competitive, you got a social agreement or a social understanding of the going rate of cell phones. then prices will be regulated according to. And there's many different factors that will play which one to be higher, which one to be lower. You know what I'm saying? You know, and that's gonna be what all going into the commodity or the product. But originally, if you got back to the elementary laws of it according to Marx, just the necessary labor time it took to make the product gave us its exchange value. And then when money became the universal equivalent to all commodities, you started to see the value expressed in dollars or in money, not necessarily dollars. And this was just based off of social relations that arise spontaneously through the process of trade, commerce. So when Marx saying what we just read, how everything becomes transparent when free men are working together, creating the things that they need. Right? There is no veil. Now remember, the whole context of this chapter is the fetishism, or this section is the fetishism, which we understood to be, it's basically ignorance, but more specifically, it's for us to believe that these commodities have their value just in and of themselves, not knowing the process that goes behind it to actually give them that value that you were paying for it in the store. It's just a fetishism. It's just a magical belief in something.
Right. And that would be like the veil, the fetishism.
Yeah.
Right. Now I had a question about kind of similar to his question, but it's just a question. It might be. It's just a general question now. So like, okay, now the capitalists, right there, like what they sell a commodity for is determined by the social value or whatnot. Now, say they're selling a commodity. Now, is it that through selling a commodity that they're trying to always make sure that they make 100% surplus value, where they squeeze in a sense, as much surplus value as they can. Now I wonder, could you determine the price of a commodity by knowing how much surplus value that they're gonna want to squeeze from off of the back of the laborers or whatnot? So in other words,
so hold on before you go on. So you trying to, what you asking is, based on the cost of the product, can you determine how much surplus value, how much unpaid labor is embodied in that?
In a sense.
Because surplus labor is just unpaid labor.
Correct. I think I'm asking in that
surplus
sense.
value.
But I'm thinking I'm asking in that sense and vice versa in a sense, like the other way around. Like I wonder, is pretty much the majority of capitalists trying to go for that extreme surplus value. Just like when he was showing, Carl was showing that I think what's the formula? Okay, that's what the formula is. Cash advance equals variable capital plus constant capital plus surplus, which the surplus comes
That's
from...
not even cash advance though. Cash advance is just constant capital plus variable capital, just the capital that he spent on the process initially.
Exactly. So I put like two of them together, but even though they still gonna get that surplus somewhere out of that, right?
Yeah.
So like, alright, now let me think of the percentage of how you determine. Now you determine the surplus.
The rate of surplus.
Rate of surplus. There you go. You already know what I'm gonna say. That's V over S, or is that S over V?
That is
I don't know.
S over V.
I'm thinking of something. I might be thinking of something else. Better, because you got to determine how much surplus value is being pulled out of the variable or being exploited from the worker, because the worker is working more than what he's actually being paid.
Yeah, and that's basically that's the foundation of the surplus value
Exactly.
formula is just unpaid labor. So you just look at the ratio or the percentage of the day that the labor is paid for in relation to the duration of the day of his labor that he is not paid for. So in other words, if you got a 12-hour working day, all right, and the first 6 hours of the day, the worker will make back what was spent on him, the cost of employing him, you understand, his sustenance, and what the capitalist expended on the means of production. And the second half of the day, it all be just surplus for the capitalist.
Exactly.
Meaning like the first 6 hours, if the first 6 hours produce 3 shillings of value, right? Well, you only spent 3 shillings on the process period. So so the worker makes the money back that you spent on him. All right, you pay him. The second half of the day, when he make them 3 shillings, that all goes into your pocket.
Right.
That's the surplus value. And if that's 6 and 6, meaning if that's half and half, then that means you got 100% rate
100%
of surplus value.
100%.
The more the day that you can get for free out of the labor, the higher the percentage of the rate of exploitation.
Right.
And vice versa. When you go the opposite direction, the lower the rate of exploitation.
Exactly. So I'm wondering, is that the aim of the most capital, or the goal, I guess?
I mean, yeah, because you
always get that 100%.
Or even more, because you got to look
Right.
at with technology, you getting even more.
Exactly.
Because you remember, the faster you make the product, if you create more value in less time,
correct,
and you still, yeah. So that means in an hour, the worker is creating for you a value of $500 because the machinery and all that helping them produce quicker, right? So it's a value of $500 created in 1 hour by this worker. Well, you paying him $10 an hour. So what's the rate of exploitation? It's very high. See, now as opposed to when you didn't have the machinery, when in an hour the worker will make you, let's say, $20 of value he created. You pay him 10. You understand? Rate of exploitation would be 100.
Right.
Because he making you 100% of what you expended on him,
Exactly.
which is 10 and 10.
Come in.
Oh, we go Young Mariah.
Hold on.
I look like a toy stuck in my. There you go. You can.
Hello. You guys not reading?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can grab your. Yeah. Grab that.
It's a chair?
Oh, yeah, do
Yeah.
How are you? They're not reading too?
So I mean, in the capitalist system,
Right.
it's always a I mean, you got the profit motive behind it. You got to understand that the production process is production of surplus value. If it wasn't surplus value being produced in the production process, it wouldn't be no capitalist system.
Exactly.
So the drive is always to increase surplus value because you are in the business of producing surplus value. You see, people see commodities and material things, but at the end of the day, they are nothing but surplus value to the capitalist.
So then that way, it couldn't work that way, because if the surplus value is always increasing, even can go past 100%,
Oh yeah.
then you couldn't develop necessarily hold on, let me rethink that. I'm trying to develop product, cost of
What I learned from my boy Red Wagner was when you the more commodity you make in a lot of times, say an hour, the poorer you get.
The more what?
The poorer the labor get.
The more commodity you make, the faster.
174.
Yeah, because then you put more work into it. So if your variable capital was at $10, because you make it $10 per hour, and now you can make the same thing in 30 minutes. Now you're only getting $5, and all that extra, even though you made 2 of them, that's all capital for the capital.
Exactly.
But your pay is gonna go down. That's what happens with when machinery. They laid off a whole bunch of people in the industrial times and gave most of the jobs, well, gave some of the jobs to women and children because they didn't need a lot of physical strength. Because now you got the machine to do it.
And you can pay the women and children less.
Exactly.
And it was justified. So what was the reason for the introduction of the machinery into the production process?
To kill off people, take the job.
Yeah, to increase the rate of surplus value. And, productivity. Now it's introduced to the people as a way of making labor easy. You understand? Making the job easy, less stress on the man. But that wasn't the motive behind it. You understand? That was a justifying means. You know what I'm saying? And people be like, yeah, where would we be without technology? That's where would the capitalists be without technology? You understand? He wouldn't have that opportunity to make as much money in as less time.
Exactly.
Then he'll have more competition because then people, without machinery, people got access to doing something just as fast as anybody else.
That's a good point. I mean, because that's why it's always competition and more technological advances, because the more technological advances one company can make, the quicker they can make the product, and the more of the product they can make than the opponent. So now they can undersell him because it's not taking them as much time to make the product. And when underselling him, you put him out of business. Now you can drive the price right back up because you ain't got no competitor. You understand? So that's all you always see a race for that knowledge of technology and all that.
Yep, take your biggest surplus.
Right, so we're going to keep reading. He say this, however, requires that society possesses a material foundation or a series of material conditions of existence, which in their turn are the natural and spontaneous product of a long and tormented historical development. He's saying the fact of freely associated men standing under their own conscience and playing control, it requires a society that possesses a material foundation, which from my understanding is land, ownership of land, where the materials of life that we need are produced and derived from. He's saying that society possesses this material foundation, or a series of material conditions of existence, which in their turn are a natural and spontaneous product of a long and tormented historical development. From my understanding, I could be wrong, but when he's saying a long and tormented historical development, meaning this long and tormented development through the capitalist mode of production, seeing it fall, you understand? Then men coming together and starting to develop this mode of production after this long and tormented history, because it would be history. And it would be tormented because it would just been a system of exploitation, rich getting richer, poor getting poor. And you may see some people actually do live an alright life, you understand? But in relation to the people who don't, the comparison, I mean, it's just...
There ain't no comparison.
It ain't no comparison. You know? And not just here in America, we're talking about going beyond the shores of America. You know?
So the only way to change or to get rid of exploitation is to change the mode of production. Because as long as the mode of production stay the same, there'll always be exploitation.
So you saying that we need to decrease productivity?
No, we need to change productivity.
And in a sense, that might decrease productivity in a sense because you gotta understand we have an overproduction of things to the point where you ain't got enough consumers. Stuff got to be thrown away.
Yeah.
So a lot of the stuff that's being produced.
Well, it ain't even got to be thrown away. It do got to be thrown away because, well, America throws away a lot. But
Yeah.
you go to Haiti, they don't throw away nothing.
Yeah, no. I'm talking about in the system of exploitation, though. I'm saying the production would decrease in the sense of it wouldn't be no mass production of stuff for the sake of selling them to consumers. You understand?
Exactly.
So if you're looking at it like that, then production would decrease. It wouldn't be no need for that type of production, is what I'm saying.
Exactly.
I was watching a documentary the other day about how they make products that only work for a certain amount of time. So you need to buy it. So
Rebuy,
say a light
you know?
bulb, they made it to only work
For a certain amount of time.
I was
so
told
you
that.
have to throw it away and buy a new one. Because if they made it last for a long time, like it could, you
You
buy
won't
one.
make no money.
Yeah.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then I don't think I seen that. But I heard somebody talking about it. Probably didn't say like they make the first light bulb. It will burn for a long time.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's still burning
yeah.
like till today.
Right. So just imagine that.
Yeah, but again, that's the type of society you live in. The mode of production gonna be the way you building stuff. Like I said, you can make a spaceship go out of space. Man. You can make a car last forever without breaking down.
Yeah.
It don't make no sense how you send a spaceship to space and fly all out in outer space, but
Come back one piece. And
yeah, come back one piece of land. But these things go out and it don't make no sense.
Yeah.
And they're not too good at that because they failing at that. They probably trying to see a way to make it into a commodity.
What's that?
They can sell billionaire spaceships and things of that nature.
Well, once they set up shop on Mars or something, I mean,
Yeah, I can see that. But even when products, even you got products that do last. You understand? Let's say you got a cell phone that's good. It's a flip phone though.
bill in the house.
You know what I'm saying? They still got tactics set up through what you call it, your man with advertising that makes the average consumer want to get rid of his just because he don't want to be out of date.
Exactly.
You understand? You got to stay with the times. So even if they do create something that's gonna last forever, your consciousness being highly influenced by this society ain't gonna allow you to continue to walk around with this out-of-date equipment.
Exactly.
Whether it's a cell phone that's not a touch screen.
Yeah, advertising, they're going to bombard you with it from all over. You're going to see it on billboards. You're going to hear it on your TV. Yeah, get this new Apple iPhone 5 and all the tricks it can do. You're going to look at your flip phone and be like,
man,
man,
I can't do nothing.
yeah, I can't do nothing. I want to play games. I want to...
But when it came out, it was, man, I can do
Yeah,
all type of
everything.
stuff on this.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the same damn phone.
I used to love the flip phone too, boy. That put it on your ear. That thing's so out of date. I can't be caught with one.
Yeah, it's like having a pager.
That's sad. I can't be caught, and that's sad. It's like having a pager, like you said. What you gonna do with a beeper nowadays?
Yeah. They ain't even make them, man.
You can't even get to a payphone.
And you don't even see payphones no more.
Yeah.
So now you so-called need a cell phone when you're traveling or whatever. So on top of the fact they make stuff not to last, they influence your mind so heavily that even if it did last, say if we had a light bulb that lasts, but they came out with them new little winding light bulbs.
Yeah.
And they tell you they more this and more that.
Yeah.
This one that lasts, you ain't got to spend no more money on it.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to put that in a box.
Exactly. You're going to get
You know
one of them wind-up energy-saving light bulbs.
So they got you two ways.
You know the ones that got swirl.
Oh, yeah, the CFLs.
Yeah, and that's a good point because the reason they able to do that is because what he's explaining up here. The production process is not transparent. You don't have a freely association of men under their standing together under their own conscious and planning control. right? I mean, just imagine if everything that was produced went by everybody, and we all was conscious of it. We wouldn't allow things to be produced that we knew wasn't gonna last us.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's true.
So just because I mean, that plays fetishism of, commodity. So everybody needs to know. In a society, let's say we was in a society free and everything be produced, everybody needs to know how it's produced, the purpose, and what we plan on
Exactly, using it from.
using it for.
Yeah.
And that way nobody can be used. Or
Exactly, and
exploited.
nothing would be exploited. The earth wouldn't be exploited. The animals wouldn't be exploited. Cause what you gonna need all these buffaloes killed for if you ain't making nothing but 50 tents for our family?
Mhm.
What you gonna need some more hide and skin for? You wouldn't be in a society that needs to kill all these buffalo just to sell their skin.
Yeah,
and
mass produce.
So that's more life just for the whole earth, man. Go ahead, bro.
What about buffalo burgers?
This nigga, I tell you.
You eat buffalo burgers? You probably
No.
What about Buffalo Wild Wings? You want some of them?
Yeah.
Straight off the buffalo. But
Y'all ready?
yeah.
Alright, in the middle of 173, this last sentence before the footnotes. I'm gonna read to where it say 33, then I guess we're gonna read these footnotes. The footnotes is very...
Man, you can read the footnotes at the end.
No, because the footnotes come right after what he's talking about. We'll go back and forth,
Oh, we ain't got much.
Yeah, we're gonna be done with this chapter today, Lord willing.
Yeah.
So he said, political economy has indeed analyzed value and its magnitude, however, incompletely, and has uncovered the content concealed within these forms. So 33, this footnote on about